Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Prairie Puck Podcast. It's been a hot minute since the last episode, but me and Zach are back, and we have a very special guest joining us, Jackson from the Jets Hub YouTube channel, a new member to the Jets Collaborative YouTube family, whatever the hell you want to call us, a bunch of guys that yell about the Jets because it just makes us angry. But welcome, Jackson. It's great to finally have you on to talk with you about such a busy, crazy, nonstop, action-packed offseason that we've had. It's been nonstop fun, hasn't it, ladies and gentlemen? How you doing, man? Why don't you tell the people a little bit about yourself in case they haven't checked out your channel before, and if you haven't, go check it out right now.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Big spenders. I don't know. Not a lot going on this free agency as kind of expected, but yeah, no, I run the YouTube channel Jets Hub, as you said, and fairly new to it. Got just update videos and some fun mini documentaries about the Jets on there right now.
Some really good stuff, so make sure you go check it out and drop a subscription. But yeah, off season's been very uneventful, just like the season was very uneventful. Not a lot to really root for at this moment. Not even a lot of places to jump off with this conversation, but we're still going to attempt to assemble some type of opinion on what type of direction, if any, the Jets have. So, Zach, I'll throw it over to you, man, because you've been covering the Jets with every little minor signing since free agency is open, even more than I have. So, you probably even have more knowledge about all of this, what's kind of the idea of this team right now more than anything when it comes to the signings, the little ones they've made. So, where do you think the Jets can go from here, really? Because there's not a lot left.
I'll say this. All of the signings kind of do share a pattern. In the past, the Jets have had a bit of trouble, where they go after players that are 35 and older.
Yep.
But the one credit I can give the team is that pretty much every single signing, apart from David Riddick, which makes no sense other than the fact that they desperately needed a backup, is young players. They're trying to bring young players into the system, whether it be the AHL, the NHL, or possibly even lower than that. A lot of the moves being made are not breaking the bank at all. I think the most they've actually had to spend on a player would be probably Jansen Harkins, and that's still league min. Actually, no, it's
David Riddick, yeah. No, 900, under a mil, 900K.
900K, no. Heaven forbid we spend $1 million of Canadian money on these guys. But no, it just fits the mold of young players and trying to figure out which ones to go with for the future. Now, granted, the frustration is that for those young players to even get a chance in the system or to even be successful, you need to move players, and no one has left yet.
Yeah, you know what?
But there will be a lot moving.
I think that's actually a good jumping off point for this, because we all cover the Jets and know the Jets pretty extensively. We know the players, the analytics. We know kind of who's expendable, who's not expendable. And at this point, the fact that we haven't seen more Brendan Dillon talk, the fact that the Blake Wheeler trade stuff has stalled and all this stuff, it's there's no other word for it than pathetic, honestly. It's just a lack of energy, a lack of motivation by the front office staff, in my opinion. It really feels like they're not trying. Now, we'll get into the stuff. I know Jackson's going to be able to talk more about the guys that we've potentially missed out on, but honestly, the trade, I thought the Jets would be really active going into the draft and really active in free agency, and not with signings, but with moving guys out. Because when teams want to sign players and you miss out on a guy, you panic. GMs panic every year. But we haven't seen Chevy taking advantage of any of the guys that he needs to move out, and that's what's been more frustrating than anything. Even more than the coaching stuff with Trotz and Bonus, with everything. That's been my biggest concern with the Jets, is the fact that these guys haven't left yet, and if we run it back, we will fail worse than we did last season. It would be ugly. I don't even want to imagine this team running it back minus Svetch and all the other things that we've lost. So, good.
The lack of aggressiveness is, I don't know, it's a little disheartening, because we can say, oh, run it back, it was just coaching last year and whatever. You can use that excuse, but you're going to run it back without Paul Stastny, Andrew Kopp, and now no Evgeny Svechnikov. And all you've done to really plug that hole is essentially nothing. I mean,
Literally.
you haven't moved Brendan Dillon. There's so many guys that are told to be available, like Jesse Puljujarvi and everything, who I think would be a pretty solid fit in the middle six there. But you're doing absolutely nothing to fill those holes. And if you're hoping that guys like Jansen Harkins are gonna magically go from a 7-goal player to a 20-goal player in just by playing in the top 9, I think you're going to be pretty surprised by the lack of success that you have.
Oh, absolutely.
Coaching aside, I like our bench a lot more this year than last year. But
the bench does look like an actual step forward, I will say.
We could actually talk a little bit to that because we actually finally got some information about what the bench will look like today with the coaching staff being updated. So Brad Lauer, I hope that's the right pronunciation, and then Marty Johnston from the Moose will be joining the Jets this year. And honestly, I'm okay with that. Lauer recently spent the last 4 seasons in the WHL coaching the Oil Kings, who just won the championship. So that's always good to have like a winning coach, even if it's in a lower league coming up. He'll hopefully have some type of element that can hopefully be better than what we've seen with the last guys behind the Jets. Charlie Huddy, I'm looking at you. But then obviously with Marty Johnston, he's just spent his entire coaching career since 2017-18 with the Manitoba Moose as an assistant. I actually don't really know a lot about Marty Johnston. Like I don't. What even was his position with the Moose? Was he just a plain assistant? Was he more of a defensive guy? Like, do you guys know anything there? Like I didn't realize he was on the bench.
I know he was the assistant coach for the Moose for the past 5 years. I'm not exactly sure what he was, but I'm pretty sure he was more of I'm assuming he was more of a defensive coach.
Okay. All right. Well, you know what? That does excite me a little bit because, Charlie Huddy's finally gone.
The Moose defensive prospects aren't terrible either.
Exactly. The Moose actually are loaded defensively, in my opinion. They've got some of the most underrated prospects in the NHL in those positions there. Declan Chisholm is fantastic. Leon Gannock, even Jonathan Kovacevic has kind of emerged in the last, year and a half. He as looking as a potential good depth defenseman if we need him in a situation like that. But we're talking about, it's the same old conversation, guys, because we're talking about prospect, we're talking about how there's potential. Will we even see them this year? How many of these guys will actually play if we don't move out a Brendan Dillon, if we don't move out maybe a Nate Schmidt? That's obviously more unlikely, but, we need to create room for these guys. I swear to God, if Capobianco is playing over any of our prospects, I am going to burn MTS to the ground. I know it's Canada Life. It'll always be MTS. But still, I will. I will fly to Winnipeg and burn it down. And I will plead to it. I do not care. I cannot imagine a world where we do not have some of these guys jumping into the lineup. We need these trades to go down. So, where do you think a Brendan Dillon would fit? I'll throw it to both of you guys because I'm saying this as he needs to go, but I can't even really pick a lot of teams that, would want a Brendan Dillon because he's just depth at paying $4 million.
Seattle, maybe a team that doesn't think that they're going to be a contender in a very hurry.
But Seattle doesn't want cap.
How many years does he have?
I believe Brendan Dillon has 2 more years left on his contract, but I could be wrong. Yeah. I'll actually pull up the cap.
It's 2 or 3.
Quick. I'll pull up cap friendly. It's probably a good thing to have open right now.
You can probably always send somebody to Arizona if we're being completely
honest. the one thing, and I was panicking a little bit about the Jets and the Dubois situation. I'm sure we'll get into that later. But I was watching Sports Talk, and Ken Weeb was on there talking to Andrew Patterson, and he said, "Don't be surprised if this does take a while to move assets and everything like that." Referring to Wheeler and Dillon, but he's wondering if the Jets are holding on to him maybe as a 3-way deal kind of thing, and using Dillon as a piece to get a team to take salary on a Wheeler deal. So that kind of made sense to me. And I'm wondering if right now they're just kind of waiting for the season to start up and maybe, I don't know, some teams realize, hey, our defense is pretty trash. We need a guy to come into the top 4 because I think they were really banking on Klingberg going day 1, and then teams have missed out on him coming begging for him, and that just hasn't happened. Not that the UFA market for defensemen is great this year or anything. Branson got 4x4, which is crazy to me.
Come on, he had a renaissance year or whatever they were saying on the trade deadline talk. The free agency frenzy. I love when they were talking about that on the panel on free agency. What a renaissance year. Funny. Great contract, deserves it. Fantastic. And I'm just looking at them really? I feel like that donkey meme, where they just stares at the camera.
No, that's a terrible deal. And now they got to move out money to sign Laine, which is funny. So, whatever.
Bring him home.
They need to trade.
Yeah.
I know it won't happen, but I will always have faith.
Nyquist will get traded from Columbus, and that's gonna.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know. We'll see what happens there. But what I'm trying to say is I think they had a plan, and their plan just didn't materialize, and now they're kind of just sitting there with your pieces, and I think they're going to be forced to move them for a little less than they were thinking.
I think you're hitting the nail on the head because look at Dubois, the whole situation with him at the draft and the whole trade talks there. Like it felt like everything was revolving around that deal, and then everything else would kind of just, like a snowball effect. It would all move out, but that deal stalled everything, and now they don't know what to do, and that's a huge problem. Like you said, we will get into the Dubois talks. Don't you worry, because holy crap, there's a lot to talk about there. But it's just frustrating because you know this team has to make moves, but at the same time, because they're the Jets, and I know what Ken Weeb's saying, I still don't have faith in them. Like, I think Chevy would rather hold on to this team and keep it the way it is than lose value on a guy in his mind. And that scares me because at this point in time, it's either commit to the rebuild or commit to a retool. You can't do a little bit of both. You can't. It doesn't work in any sport. So I don't, like I kind of said with the start of this, is I have no idea what their direction is right now. None. Like it's very concerning. Like they have no direction, no plan, no nothing. I can't even tell you what prospects they think are high up on their radar right now because they haven't made the moves to give these guys the playing time that they need. Like I have no idea what's going to be happening with the lineup. I have no predictions other than the guys on contract. And even then, like
too, because like you and I have talked about this, Jake, and we talked about like presuming like rosters and stuff, and all of those rosters have in common is that they're omitting players that we are assuming have to be moved by the time the season starts. It omits some of the rosters omit Scheifele. Most of the rosters omit Pierre-Luc Dubois.
Good reason.
95% of the rosters omit Blake Wheeler. Like we don't, and yet all three of them are still here. I don't think Scheifele's going. I think Scheifele's staying.
No.
I think after that conversation with Bonus, I think he's pretty much locked in for the next 2 years.
And I'm okay with that. I only want Scheifele gone if he won't buy in again. If we see what we've seen the last couple of years from him, if that's what a repeat is, to get him the hell out of town. But
just
if he can buy in,
empty point getter.
Exactly.
More than that, like he kind of reminds me a lot of like a less tenured Phil Kessel. He's great in one zone of the ice, and in the other two zones of the game, it's just like.
But he wasn't always like that, though. That's the funny thing about Mark Scheifele. Yeah. It's like, what happened? Where did the effort go? Like I obviously know the passing of Dale Howardchuk probably really affected his psyche, but like there's got to be some other elements going on there to affect your game that poorly for that long of a period of time. It was a very big cause of concern, especially for me. I've been one of the biggest Scheifele haters out there, I think, on the internet because I was just sick of his effort. Biggest thing for me, I don't care if a guy scores goals, but at least if he's given his all out there, that's better than nothing, in my opinion, and he was just not giving a shit. And it was you could see it in the interviews, you could see it on his presence on the ice, on the bench. It was not good. But it's funny that we're talking about that because like 6 months ago we were all like Scheifele's fucking done, give PLD the C. and then now look where we are. It's like, oh well, let's just switch that around a little bit. Scheifele, you can keep it.
He wants a C, but it's in a different city.
The one thing that I think is possible with Dubois is with that large of an asset and like the guy that you traded Patrick Laine for, I don't think they're gonna just give into the pressure of Montreal and take back like a Joel Armia or Yoel Armia or like Josh Anderson kind of deal. Like nothing like that. I think they're gonna wait. And he hasn't said like, hey, he wants out of here, but he said, hey, I'm not gonna return in 2 years. So it wouldn't shock me if they try to keep him. And then depending on how the season goes, I think he's there opening night, and
wow.
I think I'm just saying that he gets booed to piss.
I don't think.
I'm sure he does.
I don't think he will.
I'm sure he does.
For one simple reason, I think that Rick Bowness is a big locker room guy with how chemistry works, and there's no way in God's green earth that he's going to want a guy like that who's been that vocal and causing this much drama with a team that's already got enough locker room drama right now. So that's my big reasoning. Like I totally agree with what you guys are saying, but I just can't see this team functioning with Dubois on the ice no matter what.
You could William Nylander.
Like this isn't a Laine situation where I want a trade, but I'll still play good for you. We all forget Laine had 3 points in his final game, his final and only game in the COVID year. Like he still bought it and gave it his all, even though he wanted out. Dubois will probably get Columbus Dubois, like that those Columbus shift Dubois if he's signed to the Jets next year. It wouldn't surprise me. Like he has that out. He's done it in every level of his professional journey.
Which tanks his value.
But he doesn't care about his value. He doesn't give a shit about the Jets. That's the biggest problem.
It's funny, too, because people are already comparing him to Jonathan Drouin already. Like, because Drouin apparently wanted to be on Montreal a lot, and then they trade him there, and then he's just there. Like, and it's funny, too, because I really am curious what he thinks he's going to get when he goes to Montreal? Like, what is the price tag he's willing? Because he's going to need to make a pay cut if he's.
I don't think I really don't think he cares about any of that though.
Like, I know he doesn't care, but it's just fascinating. It's like, what do you think you are worth to this team, and to the team that you are so desperate to play for, and what are you willing to lose to be on that team?
Dude, he must have just taken a trip up like to the North End or something like that, and then he's just like, I'm never staying here or something like that. Shout out to the North End of my family, love you all, miss you. But yeah, like, come on, man, it's got to be something like that. It's like you sent him to Montreal, you're like, I don't even know. Dude,
something must have happened.
Has to, right? Please, no, continue. I was going to say nothing.
I don't know what has happened, because you go to the year-end interviews, and he's talking about, like, oh, and I can't remember specifically what he said, but it was along the lines of, yeah, we've got a lot to do here, and whatever. And he seemed like, I don't know. I mean, you're not going to say, oh, hey, by the way, I'm leaving next year, but even if that was the plan before, even, like, the end of the season. But I have a hard time believing that the season ended and the way it did, with the way that he was in interviews, and then nothing happened, and then all of a sudden, like, they were just like, hey, I'm leaving. I don't think that happened. I think something.
This before Rick Bowness signed?
That's a good point, but I doubt Rick Bowness would be the main reason. If you hate Rick Bowness that much, like,
I'm trying to like.
Yeah, you got something wrong.
Correlation here, because one day he was fine, and then the next day we're just like, oh yeah, by the way, he's gone. Like, he's gone.
Yep.
I don't know. You know what though? We've heard all the rumors in the past about what the Jets' room has been like, you know, and I wouldn't put past it that maybe something happened with a player, you know. Look at the whole Adam Lowry, Mark Scheifele girlfriend thing that happened a couple years ago. Like, that was insane, man. That was insane, and that still has an effect to this day on the locker room, probably to some extent. It's like, but like again, like, you know, like the infamous tracksuit, you know, like, it's always been something with the Jets locker room. There's always been some type of controversy or drama going on there, whether it be negative at the time, but like, I know what I'm just saying though. It's just still a Jets locker room headline, right? Like, it was, but it was just a headline. But it just, and that's my biggest, like, look, no matter what the hell the Jets do, I will always stand by my beliefs that until the room is changed, we will not get any better than what we are right now. We will stay in mediocrity. And it's not about bringing in new talent and switching up how we use guys. It's just about who runs the room. Blake Wheeler, I love you, man. I got your jersey right there and your framed photo on my wall, but you're not a good captain anymore. And it's shown for the last couple seasons. You probably never really were a good captain, let's be real. We need to change that, and I don't even know. I honestly think the best response to that is strip the C out of the room, roll with 4 A's or 3 A's or whatever you want to do, and just don't put the pressure on this one guy to dominate how the room functions, because it's clearly messed up how people perceive Winnipeg, because guys don't want to stay here. You know, like
if somehow Blake Wheeler is back next year, like, if it's absolutely impossible to move the contract, or if they decide they still don't want to retain salary on the 2-year deal, which is crazy to me. I think it's wild. But if he's still there, I don't think he comes back with the C. I think they.
But do you really think the Jets would ever do that?
I really think they do, because if they come back with all 3 of those guys, they need to do something to, like, just show the fan, and not that True North cares about the fans.
They don't give a shit, man. Yeah, I was about to say.
but to sell tickets, I can't see a world where I
don't think they care about that either.
Wheel them back out.
Like, I know they obviously care about selling tickets, but like, what have they done to improve that? Like, the quality of.
I agree with you that they should do that, but I disagree with you is that they will make that decision, because True North. When faced with a tough decision, True North goes, like 9 times out of 10 go, do we really need to talk about this? Oh, we could probably ignore it. And then they just do nothing. And then you're just like...
flashbacks of that amazing Chevy press conference in November. Fuck. But again, that's just points my exactly the same point, though. They don't care. They sweep it under the rug. No, this is fine. The team's good. It's just how they act.
Yeah, sorry. Going back to that, I can't even believe he has a job. I thought I was looking up GMs that were out of work. Too. Like, oh, okay. Oh, I wonder if we'll look at this guy.
And I like how everyone stopped talking about it.
Yeah, I know.
They just found new reasons to fire him. That was the thing. It wasn't even like they stopped. They just found new reasons that were like more comfortable to talk about.
I watched
It's
that
like,
presser in the
dude,
airport. Like, I had just landed in Winnipeg when I came out in November to watch those games, and it was playing on the TV, and me and my dad were just watching it. We were both just scoffing, like, what the fuck is this? Like, we were both expecting him to lose his job right there, say Chevy was stepping away or whatever, so like something like that, but nope.
Yeah, because you and I had to record after that, and we were not in a good mood about it. I remember that day, because you and me texted right after this, and I'm like, did you watch it? And you're just like, yup. And I went, so fuck this, right? And you're like, yup. And
Do you,
I'm like,
yeah, it's all bullshit. Though again, this is the whole thing with the True North and the Jets. They just
so bad.
like, I think in my head, every time they think about Blake Wheeler, Chipman just has this flashbacks to when he was with Blake Wheeler at the 2016 Heritage Classic jersey unveiling party at Portage in Maine, and they brought out Semenko, they brought out Howard Chuck. These guys are there, they're talking. Rest in peace to both those legends too. They unveiled the jerseys, and then who steps out from behind the curtain wearing the jersey? Blake Wheeler. And what does the crowd start to chant on Sportsnet live broadcast? Captain Wheeler, because Ladd was gone, there was no captain. Ever since that moment, the True North has dick-rided Blake Wheeler to the moon. Like, and they will not stop, because they were like, oh, the city literally loves Blake Wheeler. We got to just give this guy everything he wants. And it's proven that.
man.
Matt Hendricks is a prime example of that. That was Blake's guy in the room with him running things. Oh, I need him back to help us get ready for it. Let's trade a 7th, a conditional for him, because that's exactly what we need to do. But all these facts, these aren't just rumors, guys. You can they talk about it in their interviews if you watch them. It all points to the True North being like, hey, Blake, what do you want? And I just don't see that changing. Like, unless they went to Blake and were like, he's like, I'm not wearing the C if I'm back. And he says that to them, or trade me. Like, those are what he's saying to them, which obviously is probably what he's saying because he wants out. That's the only way I could see it happening. And even then, I don't think Blake Wheeler with his ego would give up the C. I don't think he would do that. I think that as long as he stays, he needs to be the guy. Yeah. Dude, look at the 1,000th game ceremony and everything they did. I thought the Paul Stastny one was nice. That was over the top. Like, the only thing it was missing was having, like, the inaugural Jets walking onto the ice. Yeah, literally. Dude. Like, I was like, at one point,
Buffalo, they called him out of the forest just to do that thing.
I thought for a second when they, dude, he's on the boat, man. He's just living the Bass life, man.
He's boat.
That Bass Pro life, man. That's what he's all about now. Don't you know?
I love the fact the crowd cheer for Buff on that is the only reason I go back and watch that thing. Other than that, I'm just like, this is
didn't Enstrom got one too, and Little too. Can't forget about our boy.
Yeah, Little
rotting away on the Arizona Coyotes. I still held out hope for the longest time that he would make like a 1-game appearance just to play a game.
You kept telling me this. You're like,
because my dad, yeah.
It's gonna be the dead cap. He's gonna be the next Kucherov.
Look,
once we make the playoffs,
I'll tell the story. I'll tell the story for Jackson.
I'll
tell the story for Jackson. I'll make it quick, and I haven't actually shared this with the viewers before, so you can listen to it. But my dad and me were talking, and my dad, I'm not gonna say how or what, but we have a couple sources that are around the team that know a lot about the team. One of them knows the part of the team doctor. And he told us that Brian Little was approved for hockey and that they were going to activate him in the playoffs as a dead cap situation, as a trade thing. And and me and my dad were fucking thrilled because we love Brian Little. In high school, I made a Brian Little Jets t-shirt because I couldn't buy them anywhere. That's how much I liked him. And I was so ecstatic. I almost made a video about it, but I'm like, I'm not going to do this because where the hell is the proof? Everyone's going to just call me a clickbait and all that. So I didn't. Thank God, because it never happened. But like, I told Zach that. I told Ryan that. I told so many people in the community. I'm like, just don't tell anybody. But like, keep on the DL. But like,
Dick,
he's coming back.
The cards, the math, it ain't mathin'.
You know what?
Like, trust me.
I was so confident in that. But you know what? We're all wrong every once in a while. But yeah, but getting back on topic about the Jets and everything, with how they are right now, not about the glory days of Rumours when it was actually exciting. Because if we were talking about that, Mark Stone's a great subject. But let's skip past that.
I
had to do it.
I just want to know right now, where were all of you when you found out we weren't getting Mark Stone? Because I remember exactly where I was.
Yeah, I was in my living room.
I think I was with my dad
because we didn't trade.
I was at the University of Winnipeg in math class, and in the morning I was texting, and all of a sudden I just looked at my phone, and I just went, well, this class just got shittier. And like then afterwards I left and I was texting my buddy, and me and my buddy are like staring at Kevin Hayes' stat page, and we're like, the point per game, it's like Stastny, right? We're good. It'll be okay. No, it won't be okay.
Don't rip the Kevin Hayes deal. That was a good trade. Everyone likes to shit on that trade. That was a good trade.
But like,
Kevin Hayes was good with us, though, man. He was. Everyone's like, "Oh, Kevin
didn't
Hayes was like the
mind it.
worst thing
Yeah.
ever." I really liked Kevin Hayes on the
No,
Jets.
I
Like, he
didn't
was
mind him
really
either.
good.
I stared at that and I just went, "You could have
Dude,
been our
he had
boy."
12 points in 20 games. Like, that's not terrible at all. And Stastny went on that fantastic run. That's why his points look incredible.
I'm doing a little bit of research on the 17-18 Jets right now. As good as Stastny was and fit really well with everybody, he only had 13 points in 19 games, right? So Kevin Hayes had 12 and 20. So
Actually, wow.
it's comparable, right?
I thought he had more than that, honestly. So that actually.
I did too.
To
I did
all
too.
to all you
That's what I was
Kevin
telling you,
Hayes
we were
haters, look at
comparing
that.
it, and we thought it wasn't that bad.
He also
Yeah.
to remind people, he had 3 points in 6 games in the playoffs. He had 2 goals and an assist.
Yeah.
Like, he was a
he
good
was
get
good.
for us. It was no problem with him.
Well, he should have had one more because he stopped himself from scoring a goal. I think we remember the play in question. That play haunts me because we would have won Game 5 otherwise.
See, Jackson, I wasn't kidding when we said that these just go off on Jets tangents, man.
Yeah,
It's
no,
just-
that's
this,
fine.
This is
That's
how it
fine.
goes, and you guys, I know you all love it. But, okay, I want to talk about Dubois again because I feel like we didn't really end on that conversation. There's a lot to be talked about there. Do you see him going anywhere else this offseason? Because I don't think a team in the league goes any 10 foot, doesn't touch him with a 10-foot
No.
pole. Like, no, there's no way.
Desperate?
Even if you're
The only-
desperate, there's no way you'd lose your job because you
Like,
know he's
here's
going
the
to
thing,
walk.
Here's the thing. Like, the only thing I can see, because there was talk about the Rangers before Dubois.
Mhm.
This was when Dubois was kind of halfway. And I said, I can see the Rangers as a suitor only if the Rangers are so desperate enough to win a cup in the next 2 years. And I guess the only other team that fits that bill, and again, it depends what you're re-signing him for. You're pretty much having to look at teams that are desperate to win a cup in 2 years. You're looking at the teams that are really good now. You're looking at Colorado, you're looking at Tampa, and you're saying, do they have money to spare, and are they willing to admit that they're losing him for nothing in 2 years? And that's the thing where it's like, probably not. Like, there's two things there. It's, are you desperate enough, and are you willing
Are you
to
stupid
accept
enough?
that it will be a complete loss after the 2 years term? And I don't know if there's any suitors.
I don't think there's anybody in phone and Chevy right now offering anything more than what Montreal's giving. But which is a bunch of depth. But the only way that I can see him going somewhere else other than Montreal is if he makes it through to the trade deadline this year, and then we decide, hey, we're gonna send you off as a rental or whatever, and you'd still have one more year of a team control thing. That's what I really hope we do, because I can't even imagine going from Laine to Dubois then to Josh Anderson. That would be kind of rough. Or a Mike Hoffman.
We're hearing Christian Dvorak
Okay.
all the time, and
I'm gonna be the odd man out here, and I'll take the flack for it. I'm okay with it at this point. With how I
You
feel about
optimistic?
Dubois, I want him. I'll take Josh Anderson. I'll take Dvorak. I will take depth. I'm sorry, but if you surround those guys in the top 6 that we have, I see success. I do. Like, I'm sorry, but Kyle Connor, Mark Scheifele, Nikolai Ehlers, Cole Perfetti, you throw in a Josh Anderson, maybe a Christian Dvorak. We see how that kind of fits. You got some other wild cards in there. I'd rather them do that than just go wait for like a big fish, because you're not going to get a big fish. At this point, we've lost the Laine deal, and you will never, ever be able to bounce back from it because of what's happening with Dubois, because you sold the fans that Dubois was the long-term guy. He wasn't. So no matter what you do now, you can never win that return, because let's be real, Nick Suzuki is never coming to the Jets in that trade. It will not happen. Anyone that wants that, wants a top dog, even the Drouin top, it's not happening. That is not happening. And same with Cole Caulfield. Like, no way. So
Yeah,
No, we're not getting caught.
I know,
That's
but the
wild.
fact that people
No,
of the
you're-
Jets, like the
Hilarious.
fan base, are like actively being like, it's like Suzuki or nothing from them. I don't even want to talk about it. It's like,
Caulfield or bust. I'm like, then it's bust.
yeah, like, are you kidding me, man? Like, give your head a scratch. What's wrong with you?
I also, though, I don't know, because obviously, like, we're in a spot and everything, but I don't see us caving, because, like, you cave and then whatever, and then, oh, look what the Jets did, ha ha ha, oh, look, they got fleeced again. I don't think they want to go that direction. I really, honestly do think they're going to try to just work it out, put Kyle Connor on Dubois' wing with, I don't know, whoever, Perfetti or
Oh, you can't put Svechnikov
X
there
whoever.
anymore.
No, I know, exactly, right? And
Hey, he's still
hope
he's
to
still a
God
free
it's not
agent. He's
Harkins.
still a free agent. You never know.
Yeah,
He did.
but here's the
Hey,
thing,
he
yeah.
signed
No,
late.
they
He signed
still
late.
hold
He
on.
signed
Free
late though.
agent
He signed in
signing.
August. He signed late last year. He was a late addition to the team.
Chevy
Yeah, but we
closed
had
the
him on a
door on
tryout
that.
Before that, that's what I'll argue.
Did he close the door? Because I thought that he said that he would
he
be
did,
open. Oh,
yeah.
he did? Fuck. Okay. Then my bad. I didn't see that.
No,
But that
yeah,
makes...
in the
I
presser,
expected it. I expected it.
Yeah,
You're in trouble.
yeah. In the presser, he's. I think Billick asked him if he was, if there was any potential coming back, and he said, "Yeah, no, we're gonna let the other guys fill that hole." So
What other guys?
weird, fine, exactly.
Like, people were
But,
giving me shit because like, what, you don't know nothing about hockey. You're praising a guy that had like 19 points. And I'm like, he had 19 points playing less than 5 minutes a night. Do you not understand that is
like...
amazing for the NHL standards to do that? That is not easy.
Chemistry.
Like, this is a high draft pick that had injury problems and never got in a play with good players in Detroit. Let go, comes to the Jets, is given just a small glimpse of what he could do playing with real talent, is great, and then you just screw him over by bad coaching.
I will never get over the fact that he put on his Instagram post,
oh yeah,
look forward to it next year, and the Jets commented, "We'll see you then," or some bullshit like that, or "You got it," and I just went, okay, well, he's back next year. Wrong. Fucking wrong.
That one blew my mind. Like,
I'm like, how do you do that?
Do you guys think that could have been a reason why Dubois wanted out? He felt like they disrespected his friend? Because that happened, and then all the Dubois stuff came out.
But, like, how close?
Yeah, I don't know, though, because I think a lot of it leads back to in the playoffs there when we were all... I can't remember what game it was, but we're like, oh, wow, these Stanley Cup finals are really fun. Glad I don't have to think about the Jets. And then Elliot Friedman comes on there and he says, yeah, I'm getting reports that Dubois has told the Jets that it's 2 years left. I think that was kind of the groundwork towards where we are now and just kind of playing that card. And then, of course, his agent going on Montreal TV there.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, you can play your card all you want to get rid the draft too, right? Like,
that one's weird. That's
so
weird
wild
to me.
But the one thing where I think we can, or the idea is that he can salvage is he can sign a deal here for a year or whatever, year or two, whatever the plan is, and then you can go there and be like, yeah, my agent, this is the end goal for me, but my agent said all that. I like Winnipeg, to try to calm it down a bit. And I think, hey, if you go out and you have a 60, 70 point season with Kyle Connor riding shotgun, I think a lot of that gets forgotten until the trade deadline,
and
right?
if they make the playoffs, all's forgiven, because that's just how the Jets fan base works.
Right?
If you're in, you're in. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what happened to get to that point. If you're in, we're the best team ever.
Although half the people will be going like, so did you fire your agent? No, he just didn't speak.
No, he's actually working on the Montreal deal for a couple years now right now, but we're going to talk about that.
But then you kind of sit there and you're like, excuse me, sir, Jack Roslovic fired his agent, and he still really wanted to be out of Winnipeg. Why haven't you fired your agent? And it's like, and then, like, the presser ends, and we're just like...
Jack Roslovic, what a fun memory.
Remember, he had the most points for the longest time in that trade?
Yeah, that was hilarious. That was so good.
Like, that was the weirdest thing. Like, I think the next, like, his first 3 games in there, he had already had, like, a spinorama no-look.
Yeah, dude, he was on fire when he first got there. I was so upset, too, because it was like, we gave up a third for this guy.
He was red hot. I was like, oh, shit.
Dude, he was good last year, though, man. Last year he had 45 points in 81 games. 22 goals, 23 assists. He's only getting better, and we gave him up for a third-round pick. Literally nothing. That one always blows my mind. Like, are you kidding me? Savard got traded later in the draft. Like, nothing. There was nothing you could have done to make that more appealing for you. You just were like, oh, no, Dubois is the guy. That third round.
Hometown, like, they wouldn't pay more for that?
Kakalainen's a good GM.
No, he is.
Look at what Kakalainen's done the last 2 years. He's flipped that team completely.
I love what he's done.
Boquist deal.
The Boquist deal was beautiful. That Seth Jones. Oh,
that's ugly now.
Oh,
yeah,
very.
Seth Jones trade is a masterclass by Kakalainen. I have no idea how he convinced a team that was retooling that Seth Jones was the answer. Like, how do you? And they moved Boquist, and I just, like, I remember this because I was sitting back and I was kind of, like, impressed with Chicago because they moved on from Duncan Keith. Immediately signs Seth Jones, moves Boquist and a first, so now you can't even tank if you want to.
Dude, and now look at what they're doing now. Now they're like, oh, let's just,
Yeah,
the guys they're trading.
A 21-year-old and a 24-year-old, that's in a rebuild plan. Like, what the... That's not a rebuild.
Because
That's just
they finally wised up and realized, oh shit, these guys will never ever be good with us because we'll always be shit because like they need to be moved. Like we did not commit to the rebuild properly, and now we're stuck with guys that are good but are just going to be mediocre because we can't win as a team. And they should have sold those guys off when their value was higher. You probably could have got way more for Kirby Dach a couple of years ago based on last season, but you know, I still think Dach has a lot of potential there though. So they fucked up with that one in my opinion. I really like Kirby Dach. I just don't think that Chicago team was a good fit for half the guys on it. But you know, fuck Chicago
Don't be
anyway.
shocked if Dubois does. Okay, going back to Dubois for a second here. If Dubois does get, if he does get moved, don't be shocked if Dach was kind of the move at the draft. If they were trying to make that deal a little sweeter for Winnipeg. Maybe Winnipeg was saying, hey, like, you're not matching our offer kind of thing. Like, we're matching our price. I wonder if Dach was supposed to be part of that PLD deal.
Oh my god,
draft.
Don't even say that, Jackson. It just makes my heart hurt. I love Kirby Dach on the Jets. Especially because they gave up the so they traded Romanoff in the 98th for the 13th, and then they flipped the 13th with the 66th for Dach. I just had to look that up because I knew it was they had to do some cap working out there. But
which is kind of irrelevant because they have the first overall pick. Which
I don't. Okay, hypothetically, then, if we're going down this road, what the hell were the Jets not willing to give on? Do you think that held the deal back?
I think they're waiting. I think they were hoping to get a big fish for him.
But it was the first round draft pick.
Like, no disrespect to Dubois, actually.
But this is the same team. This is the same team that hasn't moved Blake Wheeler because they haven't been willing to retain cap, right?
Which blew my mind when I saw that on Twitter. I was shocked.
Yeah, I know. So you're not going to move him if you don't retain at least 25. I'd be shocked if it's not.
What's wrong with that?
50.
Like,
I know it's only 2 more years, and if you buy him out, don't they have to pay him like it's something like 5.8 for the next 4?
So
why?
It's worse if you buy him out.
I don't care if you have to attach Logan Stanley and a third to it. I really don't care.
I forgot about Logan Stanley. We were talking about defense. He's another guy that's.
I'll never forget about Logan Stanley. Yeah, like you can't tell me Seattle with what they're running right now wouldn't be like come on, Dave Hackstall would love Logan Stanley.
Are you kidding me? I'm surprised that, like Zach was saying earlier, they haven't even been interested in Dylan yet. Like a Brendan Dillon, a hard-hitting veteran defenseman like that. Like I don't like.
There was some like soft chatter from what I know about Dylan, but like a lot of teams I'm sure were sniffing around other markets and everything. And I think like there's still a lot of RFAs here to be signed, and I think a lot more moved than just Matthew Tkachuk going in the future here. But I think once we get rolling here, stuff will pick up a little bit. We still got a long road here, but I can't imagine a world where you're sitting Dylan Samberg and Ville Heinola again because you're just infatuated with Brendan Dillon, who
was mediocre.
Didn't do.
He was mediocre.
Yeah, exactly.
He was mediocre.
Wasn't that great?
The entirety
Logan
of the Jets.
Stanley, who was something else.
He got the award at the Jets at the end of the Jets season.
Oh my God! Yeah, they did give him that award.
It was so funny. I was
there.
I went to that game. I don't know if you went to that game, Jackson. The last one against Seattle.
I wasn't. I actually watched that one from work. Dennis Bayok's last game.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, even though he's not dead.
They made this whole deal of like talking about like what he did and everything, and he's like, and he was second in penalty minutes, and I kind of just muttered under my breath. I'm like, is this the thing we're celebrating now? Like what?
Why didn't Dubois get number 1 then?
Yeah, I was like, obviously second is Dubois because Dubois
again.
Get used to that, Montreal.
You know what? If the Jets are gonna tank, I'd love them to tank and play like an '80s hockey team. I just think that'd be so entertaining. I think that'd be great. If they're gonna tank, just embrace the '80s mentality. Go big and sign a bunch of shit guys and beat the crap out of your opponent night in and night out. I'd love to watch that.
The thing with this team is what I would love for them to do is realize where you're at. And with Connor Hellebuck coming up in 2 years, you've got Brendan Dillon, you've got Nate Schmidt, you've got Mark Scheifele with 2 years left, you've got Blake Wheeler with 2 years left. If you don't move him now, whatever. And Dubois wanting out, like to go to Montreal. All you really have in the next 2 years are Cole Perfetti, Nick Ehlers, and who knows if Ehlers is even here yet because he's going to get older and probably want to be competing.
I don't know about
Kyle
that
Connor.
Actually. I'm glad you brought that up. I was going to talk about that because I thought like who do you like we've talked, it happens and comes and goes, but who do you think like the Jets would like that would actually be here long term? Like, do you think there's anyone out here that could be a lifer like that we've drafted? You know, like an Enstrom, like a Brian Little. Like, do you think the Jets 2.0 have had anyone come through that? Because I don't even know if Scheifele stays as a lifer, but Ehlers just rubs me as the guy that I could totally see him spending his whole career in Winnipeg. I don't know why. I just feel like he really loves the fans and he cares more about that than I think he does about other things, just the way he talks about it in interviews and how he's so involved in the community. I know a lot of players have been, but I wanted to bring that up. Do you guys think anyone on this team could be a lifelong Jet that's been a developed guy?
Kyle Connor helps the fact that he signed just a 7-year. Like, I'll be honest, like, I'm holding out hope that somebody in this core is just like, you know what? Winnipeg. That's where my roots. But
if it's any, sorry, if it's anyone. Hey, I mean, with the amount of enthusiasm Rucker McGroarty had at the draft, it might be him. I don't know if we have anyone that's going to be. I don't know if we have anyone that's going to be a lifer right now, because I do think once the Connor deal is up, if we're in the same spot we are now, I think he's probably going to leave. If Ehlers is up in the 2 years, he sees Hellebuck, Scheifele, Dubois go, and if we lose them for nothing. Or, like, I don't know, if we don't maximize our assets there, I don't think he's going to want to come back. Is he going to be, like, almost 30 at that point, if not over 30 or 31? I can't remember.
We do have one lifer, I should say, Josh Morrissey, because of that contract.
Yeah, Josh Morrissey's a lifer.
Yeah, 100%.
You're right.
He's 27 right now. He's not expiring until 2027, 2028.
To be fair, that's too, like, Josh Morrissey's kind of replacing the part of, like, Brian Little. He's very active in the community. I can easily say
I'm gonna be 28 years old when that contract expires. I was watching him when I was like 14 in the WHL. Holy fuck.
When is that contract expire?
2028.
Oh Jesus fuck! I thought you said like he's 28. I'm like,
no, he's 27 right now. He expires.
Holy Jesus.
Yeah. I should have looked at that before I even brought up this topic. There's our answer. We can move on now.
Again, and then the Jets are going to re-sign him to like a 3-year deal.
I'm okay with that, though. Josh Morrissey has always been good, and he had a couple bad years when the team was absolute crap around him, and he's not I've always been a Josh Morrissey defender. I don't know about you, Jackson. I know a lot of people were like, trade him. Josh Morrissey can't lead a core, and that's okay. A lot of defensemen can't, but he is still a really good defenseman. Just when you put everything on him, he wasn't that good. When he actually got some help in there, look at last season. He was awesome last season. Without a doubt, the best defenseman on the team last year.
Okay, you can complain and everything about that 2020-2021 year with Morrissey. You can complain all you want about how he wasn't good or whatever, but when you're playing his three partners that year were, you had Logan Stanley for a couple games, which was kind of funny. You had Beaulieu playing his offside, playing 22 to 25 minutes a night. And then until he got hurt, and then who was we had Sammy Niku come in there, and Tucker Pullman. Oh my God, Tucker Pullman! Pullman. I could go forever on Tucker Pullman. How much I don't like Tucker Pullman.
The moment that he signed that contract with the Canucks,
oh my God.
I just texted all my friends. I enjoy him. What an that's already buyout after like 1 year.
It's like more. I've never seen a defenseman be the top defenseman and get paired with guys as high as like fourth in the rotation and as low as sixth, because they wouldn't move Forsberg and Pion. They're like, no, you guys are lifers.
Does anyone remember how good Dylan was? Not Brendan Dillon. Not Brendan Dillon. Dylan DeMello. There's too many Dillons on the defensive core. Dylan DeMello is awesome. And no, we don't need it. He played great with Josh Morrissey. Let's put him with Logan Stanley. That's where he needs to be.
It was okay when you were sheltering Stanley with DeMello, but then you're just wasting DeMello.
That you just said the problem right there. The fact that you had to shelter a defenseman in the NHL when you had so many other good players. That's the problem right there.
I know, but that's why so many people were like, "Oh, Stanley's could be a top 4 guy," and that's why a lot of people still love Logan Stanley, is because of how good he looked that first year, because Dylan DeMello was bailing him out for so much. But then you're just wasting so much, and now you've got the Morrissey DeMello pairing, which is a really good pairing for Winnipeg now. But you have Pionk having a down year. You have Dylan playing mediocre. You still decide to play Stanley without the sheltering, sometimes even in the top 4, which is certainly a decision. And then you have Schmidt, And okay, the thing that bothered me so much was how bad Logan Stanley was struggling all season,
Yes.
and how bad a lot of these guys were struggling. And Ville Heinola came in, yeah, he made mistakes, but look at how much good he did with Nate Schmidt, and I'll never forget that press conference.
Me
Those two
neither.
bouncing
Yep. Oh, those
off
were
each other.
so good.
It was so good, and it's like, hey, you found something there. And then the next day, Dave Lowry goes, "Yeah, it was just big time to put Big Stan back in the lineup."
Yeah, because they took him out.
Crazy.
They took him out for bad play.
They took him out.
And me and Jake were like celebrating. We're like, Jake, it finally happened. The plug has been pulled. He's gone. He's not
Back
playing
in the
another
next
game
game.
of the year.
That was terrible.
Yeah, I think Ville played like 4 or 5 games, and then he did that one. Pionk threw it in his gut, like just saucer pass. It ended up hitting him in the like midsection there.
And
Ville
he
knocked it
pinched.
down. Yeah,
Tried
and he
to swing
pinched.
and he pinched.
Yeah, and then whatever went the other way, but then okay, like I don't know. He could have, I don't know. But I think it's funny when you get a guy that's been playing fantastic all game and then he messes up, and you can even hear it in what. And this is another problem with the Jets too, is they see, like historically with coaches, whether it be Maurice, Lowry, even Claude Noel to an extent, way back there, but guys are almost like afraid to make a mistake instead of playing their own game, and it damages your confidence. And I can't imagine there's a lot of confident guys in the dressing room right now.
No way there's any go. No.
Oh, and that's one thing where I can see Rick Bowness being a help, hopefully.
I'm
because
actually
I
very
do-
optimistic for Rick Bowness. I don't know, but I know Zach's
I'm
am too. But I saw so many people ragging on it, and I'm like, guys, give him a chance before we judge it. Like, you can go on any record you want, I get it,
They
but
just
with a
did
coach,
the
it's different.
opposite
A
of
coach is always different than a player. It's very hard to look at a coach's record and then judge what you're gonna get with the roster because he's never even had the roster yet. Like, we need to see what will happen first, and I actually think that Bowness could be a really interesting hire. He did get that team to the Cup final. I know there was other help there, and Ottinger was incredible, but that was a guy that just.
Goodovin. Goodovin was incredible.
No, so was Ottinger as well.
Okay, well, Andre
Andre,
play that.
yeah.
But I'm just saying that to me is there's something there, and I'm excited for it. But I don't want to go too much on that path. We've already talked about Bonus loss. It's old news at this point. But yeah, just about Ville Heinola too. Like, I don't know if you probably definitely saw this Jackson being really active on Twitter. He had some of the best, if not the best, analytical card in the entire AHL.
Ville Heinola was the best defenseman analytically, or I don't know, however you want to look at it. He was absolutely the best puck moving defenseman, and with Declan Chisholm not far behind either. I just want to throw that in there.
No, I love Declan Chisholm. I've been praising him since that trade happened with Stafford. We rip Chevy, but I give Chevy so much credit for that move with Drew Stafford. Drew Stafford is one of the best, like, using an asset properly, and then he just forgot how to do that.
Yeah.
Acquire Stafford in the Myers deal as a throw-in, kind of just as a middle six guy, bad end of his career. Comes into Winnipeg, kills it his first year, gets re-signed, is still good. Then he has a down year, playing less minutes too. Trades him at the deadline for what? It was a 7th round. No, was it a 7th? What was
it? Was a 4th or a 5th for Chisholm.
You know what? I think it was a 5th. So we traded him for a 5th, basically, almost what we did for Sanford, and then we draft Chisholm with that pick. Like, that is a perfect use of Chevy being like, oh, okay, I got a guy. So what happened with Stastny, buddy? Chevy, I'm looking right at you for that one, you dumb. I was like, we're golden. We got 2 top trade deadline assets. We got Kopp and we've got Stastny. Who would not want those guys?
Don't tell me we couldn't whip out a second on a prospect for Stastny. Stastny's having like a 45-point year or whatever it was.
The fact that he's still unsigned blows my mind. He was so good last year.
Too. Like, me and Jake were on call together the entire time, like, just kind of going over it because it was just so much to deal with. And we're like, Stassi's got to move, right? No, he's not moved. Like, and we finally, what time did we hear it? Like, fuck, it was
5 minutes
I know
before
what
it
you're
happened.
talking about.
But like, we finally heard the report that, like, yeah, Wheeler and Scheifele are the main contributing factors on why it wasn't moved, and we just went,
Yep. Yeah, because
Why?
it's your bud,
Like,
right? But that's the thing. You can't have that come back next year. You have to move one of the two guys, and it's not going to be Scheifele. I don't care what you have to do to get rid of Blake Wheeler, but you have to get rid of him, and don't attach something dumb to him
Doesn't it suck
just to get
though
rid of it.
that we finally want to move on from Wheeler with 2 years left instead of 1? Because if we just waited one more year, we would have been able to get a first for Blake Wheeler at the deadline, easy, maybe even more than that. He would have been a top tier addition to a team, and now it's like we're gonna sell him on the cheap end.
Well,
Part of me wants to
but
keep him just for
this
that
is-
reason.
Yeah, well, no. Hey, going back to what I was talking about earlier with, with
the lifers thing, we could actually make a lot next year if we suck.
Yeah. Well, hey, if we suck, it's not the end of the world because look at who you got. Look at who you got and who's probably going to be leaving if the Jets, if this Rick Bonus thing doesn't work, if running it back doesn't work, which I'm not sold on at all yet.
None of us are. Yeah.
You've got Scheifele 2 years. You've got Hellebuck 2 years. You've got Dubois leaving in 2 years. You have so many people. You have Dylan. You can throw in DeMello if you really want to. Fine. You look at all these guys that are expiring soon. Can you imagine how much you could recoup not only your prospect pool but with young players to come in now and just join whatever, and you can suck this next draft coming up. Hey, look, there's Connor Bedard and about 5 other guys that would go number 1 any other year. And then you can think about with, like, I don't know, Bonus is old at this point. You can look at bringing in just younger coaches for this rebuild and properly contend instead of grabbing a bunch of misfits that have been playing on your 4th line or scratched for the last 2-3 years. David Gustafsson, Sandberg, Heinola, Chisholm. Use those guys, and I think they'd be pretty good. And then go contend properly, because I don't think you're... Like, I get it, but also...
Do you really get it, though? Because I don't. I don't get the mentality behind it. Like, I try to reason it as a
It's
Jets
just
fan, but it's so
no,
confusing.
like, well, right? Like, they're worried about the money, right? That's the only thing that I can think of. And their
crap.
commitment to winning is so BS. Because you're
Their
not.
commitment to
If
winning
you
is
were
bullshit,
committed to...
considering It's
Yeah, no,
no winning. That's the only winning you're committed to right
if
now.
you're the Moose next year, hey, they got a good team.
Yeah.
Cool. But like, what have you done? You've done nothing. You've done absolutely. You haven't even moved out anybody. It's been just it's so frustrating because you have all the right ideas, but then you don't do any of it. There's no aggressiveness at all to be a contender. Or what, like, your idea of being a contender. Literally, in the free agency presser with Chevy, he goes and he's like, yeah, we're happy with the room we got. How? Like, how? Why are you okay
right
with
now?
that?
Because Chevy's pathetic. He's a pathetic man. I'm sorry, but he is. The fact that, I didn't know what was going on. I was only an assistant GM of a very successful NHL team. It says enough about him. If he was actually being truthful, too, and he really didn't know, then what a clueless, unconnected guy he is to the room. And I kind of believe that, honestly, with how he acts about the room still. Like,
Yeah.
He just, look, I love Chevy as a drafting guy. I know everyone likes to critique our picks as of late. Like, we haven't hit on almost every single first rounder we've ever used since relocating, but no, we've made the wrong choices. But, I think that he would be great as just being a head scout in charge of drafting, being around that involvement with this team. But when it comes to being a GM, he's too passive, he's too patient, and I like to use the analogy. He's like the shy kid in high school at the dance. You know, he wants to ask out his crush to dance. He's been waiting 5 years to get this chance to ask the girl he likes to dance.
Knows the right
and
one to ask out to.
the song, he knows who he likes. He even thinks she might like him too. People have said it. He's been waiting all this time. The song comes on. He's waiting. He's building it up, and then the song ends. They spit it up, and then there's no more slow dancing, and he missed his chance, and he regrets it for the rest of his life. That is what Shovel Dayoff is. The man
And then she
is just
sits on his neighborhood as he leaves.
yeah, basically, and you're like, oh, I never
like,
really.
what a dumb.
Like, but it's seriously, that's what it feels like watching this man. It's like he knows what he wants, but he can't ever pull the trigger on it. And you can't tell me that a 3rd round pick is so valuable to you when you give up a 5th for, I want to say Stafford, but for Stanford. You can't justify that. Like, you traded a 5th round pick for a guy that you let walk, who got no goals, had 2 assists in 19 games or whatever, even if that. I think it might have just been one.
Game, 2 games he looked okay. For 2 games he looked
Yeah.
okay.
And then,
He
like,
looked
after
great
that,
for the 2 games after we picked them.
that's,
And
to
we're
me,
like,
my
"Oh,
biggest issue with the
this
team
is nice."
when it comes to
And then-
Chevy. Like, like Zach and me were talking about that when that trade went down. Like you said, we were in the call, and we were all covering it for all of you viewers out there. You watched the videos just as Jackson was watching it too, and everything like that. It was hard not to just want to scream and punch my screen when I saw that, because I was like, "Oh, the Appleton one, I can understand that. That makes sense. I know we're buying, but at the same time, that's a future thing. It's not for winning right now. We want that guy back. That was our guy. We want him back. I get that. But that Stanford thing, just out of nowhere, like why? Why did you think you needed that? And out of every player available, that's the guy you went with?
Zach Sanford. Also, too, it totally broke the thing that we were doing, because like, if you guys remember, we actually made the most amount of trades that day.
We did.
Out of every team.
Mm-hmm.
So this is how our day went. We started with trading. We got Mason Appleton, like in the dead of night, like the night before.
Yeah, it was 2 in the morning.
Then we moved Nathan Beaulieu for a conditional 7th. So we will never see that conditional 7th, but we were just moving him to move.
Thank
him.
God.
Then we moved Brian Little and Nathan Smith, which I gotta tell you,
That was a good trade.
Nathan Smith saying he doesn't see a point on this team because of our center depth being locked up for the future. Boy, does that hurt now with all of these conversations being said. Like that aged like milk. Then we acquire Zach Sanford, confusion, and then we trade Andrew Cobb,
The blockbuster.
And then we trade Nelson Noget.
Forgot about that.
Big
And then
move.
we traded for Marcus Phelps. We didn't tender an offer for Marcus Phelps. He was the other guy that we don't talk about.
I know Noje was a Moose lifer. It's like, why did you move him?
Yeah, and then we
Noche wasn't even playing. Sorry,
Yeah,
I just
at
want
the
to.
end of
Oh,
the
I didn't even know
night,
that. Well,
and-
you learn something new every day. Never mind that. I don't care about that trade.
Yeah, and then we re-signed Christian Reichel at the end of the night, and that's how our trade deadline went.
It was a
And it
busy
was
day, but
Dang,
just
it was such a busy day.
but again, look at those moves. What the hell is your direction? What is your path? You
No,
have none.
They-
There's
They
nothing
don't
there.
have one.
Like,
They
that-
don't
that-
have one. They're
Zach-
trying to win with.
Oh, they're trying to win with
With-
luck. That's all it really
I
is. They're
know.
banking on luck. They're hoping that luck will be on their side.
They're gonna, and it scares me too, because if they have another year where they make the playoffs and they lose in 5 to Colorado or 4 to Colorado,
Yeah, you're being generous.
But hey, you made the playoffs. So now you're thinking, hey, down the line here, hey, Mark Scheifele, let's say Mark Scheifele is a bounce back season. You say, hey, Mark, we'd love to give you another 7-year, 6-year deal worth $9 million. You're going to turn into how the San Jose Sharks have been for the last 5 years.
Longer than 5 years,
And
for 40, whatever long we've been around.
Well, I just mean like the Couture
No,
deal.
I agree with you though. Overpaying guys
yeah.
that are too
All
old
that-
on
all that
long-term
stuff.
deals. Yeah, no, for sure. I
and
get
trying
totally
to
what you're
push it
saying.
because the Sharks for the past 4 or 5 years they've been trying to push that and be like, oh, we still have Brent Burns, oh, we still have these, like
Not
when they had Joe
anymore.
Pavelski, and no, not anymore now, right? That's
Eric
a whole
Carr.
Yeah, they
other-
finally woke up and realized what we're talking about right now. They're
Yeah.
like, yeah, maybe
they
this
got a
wasn't a
new
good
GM.
idea.
They got Greer in there, and he was like, wow, hey, we're not that good. Let's move some of these guys out. So they moved them out. They signed pieces that they can trade at the deadline to acquire more pieces,
Smart.
and
Just
it's
they
super
had
smart.
David
And
Quinn
oh, David Quinn to the
yeah, they just hired David
Okay.
Quinn.
yeah,
was
that's
one
questionable
laugh, but
over
they're not
over Mike
contending.
Vellucci.
Or the
But
hiring.
whatever. Enough Sharks talk. But I'm scared that the Jets are gonna pigeonhole themselves into that. And
They already have.
I know, and it's annoying.
Like
because
it
if-
sucks
because
to try to be optimistic right now, man, because I want to be like, yeah, man, yeah, Jackson, you're absolutely right. Like it's like, where are we right now? Like
No.
we have no hope for next year, and everyone's gonna be saying you're overreacting and all this because you always do. I've been hitting the nail on the head for a long time doing this, okay? You all say that me and Zach, we all overreact. We're a bunch of kids yelling. We don't know what we're talking about. And then what happens?
That's also true. But
Like this team refuses to look at itself in the mirror. That is the reality of the situation. Like I quoted it on my channel 1,000 times. This team has embodied the mentality of Voss from Far Cry 3 with the definition of insanity. Like that quote haunts my brain because that was all last year with the lineup with Paul Maurice. That was always with the lineup with Dave Lowry. It's Cheveldayoff's mentality. It's Mark Chipman's mentality. It's almost like it's the mentality of Winnipeg as a whole at times. Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting change. Nothing will change if you stay the course. Nothing. You have to do something to shake this up. And there's going to be a lot, like we've talked about a lot in this one, and it's went on a lot of different paths, but the only thing that rounds all these top conversation points together is the fact that we have no path. No matter how we look at this, what we want to do, what we can speculate, until the Jets finally look themselves in the mirror, we will never get any better, and we will only go downhill. Or, like Jackson said, we'll stay the same and become the Sharks. And God forbid, honestly, that's worse than tanking. I'd rather lose and have hope for the future than be the Sharks. So, scary times.
Mm-hmm.
Scary times.
Yeah,
So,
but if we're gonna pull one positive out of here, if we want to end on a happy note, Brad Lambert fell to 30, which I'm very happy about.
yes, absolutely.
And Rucker McGroarty is an absolute rock star.
I love that guy.
Media-wise.
That guy's amazing.
You know what? At first, me and Zach were very upset with the pick because Kimmel was still on the board.
Yeah, so was I.
But that was, and I was honestly upset when we took it would have been Lucius, when we took Lucius over oh my god, thank you, when we took over Carson Lambos. I was very upset over that too, but it doesn't mean I don't like these guys now. I'm still thinking the Lambos pick would have been better than Lucius. That's just me. I don't really like the U.S. Development League, but McGroarty, there's something about the way he talks. There was something about his game. I think he's one of these guys that,
about the city, which is weird.
well, he's from Nebraska, I think. That's why. Like, he doesn't really give a shit about a city. He doesn't really care about
He's from a
cities.
hole too, so it doesn't matter.
Now he's the
Yeah,
key,
but people, look, I'll just say this, like, about Winnipeg when it comes to this, because we talk so much about it. I live on the West Coast. I live in what people say is one of the most beautiful places in the entire world. Cities are overrated, especially when you are a multi-millionaire and you only have to live in that city for like 80 days during a season, maybe 100 days if you're lucky. Fuck off after. You don't have to stay there. You could have multiple apartments. You could have your own apartment in New York, so that when you go to New York on an away game, you can go to your apartment and have a nice weekend or whatever. But no, everyone can just shit on Winnipeg because it's cold. And also, let me remind you Americans out there, there's really no difference between 35, 38 minus and like 28. There is no difference. I've felt them both. It's cold. It doesn't change the fact that, Canada's just a barren wasteland of cold, unless you live in Vancouver, and even then last winter we had minus 20 in Vancouver. So just don't come to Canada then if you don't like the cold, because it's going to be cold everywhere.
It sound like they're living in Thompson.
Like God,
it's not that.
It
It's
bothers
not
me
that
when people
different.
shit
It's
on
just-
Winnipeg
it's
and all
just
these cities in
flat
Canada.
and
It's like,
kind of the same
have you
problems of
been to
weather.
America? Have you been to centralized America? Have you been to Ohio? Have you been to
have
Nebraska?
multiple
Have you been to
bottles.
like
They hit
all the
one
states outside of California and New York and Miami or Florida, whatever? But still, like, there's like 4 zones all spaced out around North America that everyone's like, oh, these are the best places, and then fuck everything in between, even
They're
though
the
they're still
four
nice.
They're literally the 4 corners of America.
I just had to get that rant out.
Everything
It just
in the middle.
bothers me.
They're just. Well, it's funny too, because you and me were talking about this when I ran into Morgan Barron, that we were shocked that he was still in the city.
Yeah, at a bowling rink or whatever. Not a bowling
Yeah,
rink.
I ran into him in a bowling alley. He was celebrating his friend's birthday, and I was like,
Side note about Morgan Barron. Okay, so let's say Wheeler goes and we're looking for a new captain. I realized this the other day because there's like a whole meme with me that I don't know, I'm Morgan Barron's number one fan, and I don't know. I was joking that he should get the C, and a bunch of old heads came yelling at me. And obviously, I don't think he should wear the captaincy. So whatever. It's funny, but they're missing a big. Hey, if True North wants to make money, start selling Captain Morgan shirts. That's all I'm saying.
True North would never want to do that, man. Have you seen True North's attempt at like shirts for special occasions? You guys remember the Stastny 1,000 game shirts? How ugly those things were. The cartoon face. They were so bad, and they were like wanting $30
jet
for them or
emojis.
whatever.
"Oh, are those like the emoji?"
Yep,
type
the jet.
faces?
It was his
Oh,
face
the
on
jet
it.
emojis.
fuck,
It was
that
terrible.
your thing?
Like, at least for Blake, they did a pretty sick logo for it. You know, with the Blake with the 1K in there and all the team logos. I like the logo. Actually, that's why I have it framed.
That's
Like,
nothing. You
yeah,
can't
I'll
see
show it
anything
real
in
quick.
there.
Like, I quite like that photo that poster that they did. Shout out to Jacoby for sending that to me, and all you other viewers that send me amazing stuff. All this stuff is from viewers, so I am grateful for that. But yeah, you know what, guys? We've been talking for a long time. I'm gonna give the floor to you. If there's anything you want to talk about before we wrap this up, Mike is yours. Go ahead. Other than that, though, I think I am good on my end to sharing things because I can't find a lot of positives to talk about, and we've talked about every other angle with this team. So please, the floor is yours. And then Jackson, we always give the guest your time. It's your time to shine. You can plug anything you want. I don't care. So go for it, man. It's for you both, you guys. If you got anything to say, ending segments.
I'll only say this: what's of all the guys that we have re-signed and signed so far, who has the highest likelihood of actually making the roster?
I think Capobianco.
Okay. Really?
I think Stenlund.
You pick the defenseman?
I'll just say that.
I disagree, but like
Coyotes fans love this guy and said he had a bad year last year, but he had a lot of potential. So I'll go on that. And there aren't a lot of Coyote fans, so I'll hold on to that.
I texted, he's like, he's a 7th defenseman, and I just went, and just like I just screamed into my pillow. I was like, fucking damn it! Is there a chance that Stenlund makes the roster?
Okay, one of my buddies is a big Blue Jackets fan. Stanley's good. Don't sleep on him. He could be 4th line, 13th guy for sure this year, and I don't think he'd be a bad one at that.
I'd have him over Dominic Toninato. I'll take him any day over him.
Yeah, for sure.
What you mean the Dom father?
Family man.
The 4 shorthanded points. You take him over him.
That's the only good thing about it.
Who would Lowry pass the puck to on the penalty kill?
Who would feed him the breakaway slot?
Who would feed him the breakaway?
Oh man.
Man, I wish I had the confidence in my life that Adam Lowry gets every time he's shorthanded. Like that guy just thinks he can go.
He scored in the Worlds or whatever for Team Canada. He had a shorthanded breakaway, same moves, same everything.
He's a different animal.
Guy is a beast on there.
He has no speed whatsoever, and then he gets shorthanded. And he's just like, "I am Lightning McQueen. I am speed," and just rips down the ice. Like the man scored on Carey Price in the playoffs short-handed. Like how the fuck do you do that?
Because he's a beast. It's the Lowry man. He's just
different.
He's built different. All right, Jackson. Floor is yours. Any closing thoughts you want to share with the viewers?
Yeah. I don't know. Unless we start moving some stuff out, as we've been saying for the last hour and a half, I don't think much is going to change here. I think it's going to be another pretty disappointing year unless some stuff happens within the next 6 to 8 weeks. I liked our draft. I like our coaching staff. I really like Eric Lauer. So that's I don't know. It's nice. It's something. But we'll see what happens. It's something. It's something to hold on to.
Is it Eric or Brad?
But okay. Okay, sorry, it's Brad Lauer. Eric.
Oh, you couldn't just let him get that one off, huh? You had to rate the closing segment, Zach. You're like, no, actually.
I talked about it earlier. Eric Lauer is a pitcher for the Milwaukee Brewers. So I get him and Brad Lauer mixed up sometimes. But
there we go.
Brad Lauer.
After I did my video,
yeah, I did.
It scared the shit out of me. I thought I had misnamed the guy the whole time. I went, "It's Brad, right?" He's like, and just
that camera fall worked perfect with that, man.
But no, Brad Lauer, good. I like the coaching staff, but I don't know about changing. About the changes so far, lack thereof. Mm-hmm. But hopefully it happens soon, or else it's going to be another sad season. But that's my thoughts on it. If you want to go subscribe to my channel, go for it. JetSub on
all
YouTube.
Of you guys should do it. His link and all of his Twitter and social media accounts will be down in the description for you guys to go and follow at your own discretion. So thank you all for watching this episode. We hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe to all of the 3 channels involved here, even though you're watching it on mine. Zach and Jackson make some great Jets content, especially Jackson. It's great to see more people talking about the Jets and sharing their opinions. So go ahead and subscribe to him and subscribe to Zach, even though I know almost every single one of my subs is already subscribed to Zach. Anyway, yeah, exactly, statistically. Thank you guys for watching. Comment your thoughts on the Jets, what you want to see them do for the rest of this offseason down in the comment section below. Make sure to follow all the affiliated links down in the description below. Have a great rest of your day. Peace, love, and positivity, as always, from all 3 of us here at the Prairie Puck Podcast. Talk to you guys very soon, and as always, go Jets, go.